حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله الأكرم الذي خلق الإنسان وكرمه وعلمه من البيان ما لم يعلم، فسبحان الذي لا يحصى بيانه باللسان ولا بالقلم. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا مولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله الذي أوتي جوامع الكلم وكرائم الحكم ومكارم الشيم، صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه الوجوه طريق الأمم. أما بعد، فقد قال الله عز وجل في كتاب عزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يريدون ليطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم والله متم نوره ولو كره الكافرون. وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في حديث: لا يبلغن هذا الأمر ما بلغ الليل والنهار، ولا يترك الله بيت مدر ولا وضر إلا أدخل الله هذا الدين، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Respected brothers, sisters, elders, esteemed listeners at home, a topic that often comes into Muslim arenas of discussion is: how does one preserve their faith in times of adversity and tribulation, such as we see now, such as we witness now? And we can find glimpses to this question, or rather answers to this question, in the Quran and Hadith. These are our primary sources of legislation. So we might be able to offer responses from glimpses in history, specifically from the life of the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba who happened to be with him. Having made reference to history, we find that history is both linear and history is cyclical. Linear because time moves forward. So linear because time moves forward, it doesn't move back. And cyclical because the phenomena of history, they keep repeating themselves. You will notice that certain patterns are recurring. And in this respect, the Prophet ﷺ, he told us something, that there was a time when this world was steeped in disbelief and polytheism, time when the light of hidayah had almost dimmed, the light of guidance had almost dimmed due to the passage of many centuries. This was prior to the arrival of the Prophet ﷺ. And in keeping with the sunnah of Allah Azza wa Jalla, from time to time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would send messengers to make mankind aware of the most pertinent existential realities. So questions such as, where do I come from? This is an existential reality. What am I doing here? What's the purpose of life? What's the meaning of life? Where do I head for? So these are all questions that, as human beings, we will have. So from time to time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent anbiya. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent prophets for this purpose, to answer these questions, answer these existential realities that a person might have. So eventually, when history reached that low point, when the light of guidance just about became extinguished, there dawned the sun of the mission of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That brilliant sun shined for 23 years, but that period, as you and I both know, is divided into two separate eras. That period is divided into two separate eras. We know the time that the Prophet ﷺ was in Makkah. He struggled for 13 years for the establishment of this deen. So you and I are well aware of this reality. Then there was 10 years in Medina where deen, where Islam, it took shape in the manner that we see today. So these 10 years is when deen became consolidated. And referring to that early period, when the Prophet ﷺ was in Makkah for 13 years, where the Prophet ﷺ struggled for 13 years, when deen in Medina, it became established, when things were better, when deen was standing ready to be taken to the four corners of the world, the Prophet ﷺ looked back at the early years of Makkah. He looked back at the early years of Makkah, where he struggled and toiled for 13 years. So it was in Medina where he remarked to the Sahaba, and this is probably approximately almost 20 years later. So he's saying to the Sahaba, Inna deen bada ghariban wa sayaudu kama bada. That verily deen, Islam, it began as a stranger. It began as a foreign concept. It began as a stranger, something that people were unfamiliar about. And ultimately it will return to that state. So when Islam started, many who are with us today, the Prophet ﷺ is addressing the Sahaba, saying that when Islam started, many who are with us today may not know how it was 20 years ago, perhaps longer. Once upon a time, it was constant struggle on a daily basis for 13 years. So many who have embraced Islam now may not be familiar with the struggles 20 years ago. They may have forgotten, because they see Islam now, it has become well established in Medina. It has taken complete form. It is ready to be conveyed to the four corners of the world. So when the star of Islam started shining, there was such darkness around it, barely anyone could recognize the truth that it stood for. So when the Prophet ﷺ, when he began conveying the message of Islam, many people, they could not recognize the truth. They couldn't recognize the truth because they were steeped in darkness for so long. It was a stranger. Islam was a foreign concept. It was a stranger. It was going to be condemned. Islam was going to be condemned. It was going to be rejected. It was going to be repudiated. And very few will want to have anything to do with it. And this is what happened when the Prophet ﷺ was in Makkah. This is precisely what happened. It was rejected. Islam was rejected. It was repudiated. And it was something that people considered as a bad thing, as a negative thing. So it started out as a strange phenomenon. Then times changed. Times changed. It became strong. The Prophet ﷺ, he comes to Medina, and deen begins to take shape. The religion of Islam, it begins to take shape. And it begins to take its own form. The form that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had destined for it to take. So it became strong in Medina in the 11th year. When the Prophet ﷺ left this world, he was in Medina for 10 years. In the 11th year, when the Prophet ﷺ left this world, that didn't mean the end of Islam. That didn't mean the end of Islam. Islam grew from that point, strength to strength. Islam continued to grow strength to strength, so that Khutbah, that period, that time, when Islam was a foreign concept, when Islam was an alien concept, when Islam was a stranger, that time when Islam found itself as a strange phenomenon that was being rejected on all fronts, that would have been forgotten. Why? Because now Islam would go on. Now Islam would go on. Century after century, Islam would go on, experiencing victory after scintillating victory, spreading the wings of Islam from the shores of the Atlantic to the steppes of Central Asia. So there was no stopping it. To anybody who has read the history of Islam and the spread of Islam, you will know that Islam continued to spread. The first 3 centuries, Islam continued to spread until it had reached the corners of West Africa, all the way to China. So there's no stopping the march of Islam. This might that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in the Quran. So such victories were won that perhaps many people would forget about the beginnings of Islam, that how it started. That when the Prophet ﷺ presented Islam to the people of Makkah, they looked at it as a foreign concept, as a strange concept. So before that happens, before we forget, the Prophet ﷺ said, وَسَيَعُودُ كَمَا بَدَأَ, that it began as a strange concept. It began as an alien ideology. But وَسَيَعُودُ كَمَا بَدَأَ, ultimately it's going to return to that. Ultimately, Islam is going to return to that strange concept where people will look at Islam with a jaundiced gaze. They will look at Islam with a jaundiced gaze. Again, Islam will become a stranger. It will become rejected. It will become repudiated. It will be sent away. So Rasulullah is telling the Sahaba that this is how it was once upon a time in Makkah. And ultimately, today you see these victories being won. Today, you see that Islam is ready to be taken to the furthest corners of the world, but ultimately it's going to return. It's going to revert back to that state where it was in Makkah. Again, Islam will become a phenomenon where people who are Muslims, they will have an inferiority complex. They will have an inferiority complex. They will feel embarrassed. They will feel ashamed, as it had been once upon a time. As it had been once upon a time. So what will happen in that period? What will happen in that period? What will happen to those people who witness Islam become a stranger once again? When Islam for the second time becomes a strange concept. So what is the status of those people who will witness this khutbah, this strange phenomenon of Islam once again, as was witnessed by the Prophet ﷺ, as was witnessed by the Sahaba while they were in Makkah all those centuries ago? Are the people going to be regarded? Are those people going to be regarded as the worst of Muslims? Are they going to be regarded as the worst of Muslims that ever lived? People who abandon their deen, are they going to be regarded as people who abandon their deen? Are they going to be regarded as losers with no hope? No. The Prophet ﷺ said, فَطُوبَى لِلْغُرَبَى. فَطُوبَى لِلْغُرَبَى. No. Glad tidings for the strangers. Glad tidings for the strangers. That if they hold fast to their deen, during difficult times, during times where Islam is going to be rejected, it is going to be repudiated. But the Prophet ﷺ has given such people glad tidings. That glad tidings for these people who hold fast to their religion, who hold fast to their iman, who hold fast to their deen. Because just as those who lived during the first period of Khutbah, during the first period when Islam was a strange concept, who reached the highest stages. These people, they reach the highest stages in the court of Allah, in the sight of Allah. How? Through their salah, their patience, their dedication, their willpower. Even though Islam was a strange concept, they held fast to what they had. They held fast to the message of Rasulullah. So, such will be the case of those people who witness that concept again. That phenomenon again, where Islam once again is considered alien. Islam once again is considered a strange phenomenon that no one recognizes, that it's going to be rejected. So this linear history of ours will show its cyclical side. History moves in a linear fashion, but it will show and will display its cyclical side, and the second khutbah will replace the first. The second khutbah, we had that first khutbah. We had that first period where Islam was considered a strange concept. But ultimately that will be replaced again, where Islam once again will be viewed as a strange concept, as an alien ideology. So it was a long time coming. This was a long time coming. That how many years have passed? How many years have passed? About 100 years have passed. 1,000 years have passed. In different parts of the world, throughout history, there were setbacks. Within the 1,000 years, Islam continued to grow, but within that 1,000 years, there were setbacks in different parts of the world. Look at Spain. Muslims there, they were there for hundreds of years. It wasn't Arabs that were part of that population. These were people who had lived there from the beginning. These were Spanish Muslims. These were Spanish Muslims. It wasn't as if that region was conquered by Arabs. These were Spanish Muslims who had lived there for hundreds of years. Then they were driven out. Ultimately, they were driven out. Those who remained, when I know they were forcibly converted to Catholicism, as history bears witness to this. For the Muslims there, that was their Khutbah. For the Muslims who lived in Spain, that was their Khutbah. That was the time when Islam had become a very strange concept for them. That was the strange concept that came over them. And then after 1,000 years, during that time, we were masters of our destiny, but we were overtaken by colonialism in different parts of the world. Colonialism had forced its way into Muslim majority countries. So Muslim majority countries, they were subjected to outside rule. And now, just as we are staggering out of that period of colonialism, this is the world that we inhabit today. We're just leaving that period of colonialism, and we might be pessimistic, since we were rulers and masters of our own destiny once upon a time, but not anymore. One thing we should not forget, is it our destiny to be rulers? Is it our destiny to be rulers? Not necessarily. It is not our destiny to be rulers. This is a secondary thing. It is not our destiny. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not mentioned this anywhere in the Quran, that it is our destiny to be rulers. This is a secondary thing. Our primary focus has always been calling people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our primary focus has always been calling people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, calling people to the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Our primary focus has always been to maintain our Islam, to maintain our religion, to maintain our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whether we rule or we don't, this is immaterial. This has zero value. Whether we rule or we don't rule, this has zero value. So there's no need to become pessimistic. That why is it that Muslims are not ruling today? Why is it that we don't have autonomous rule when it comes to our Muslim majority countries? Because this is not the function. This is not the objective. The objective of our deen has always been that we maintain our deen and we carry it forward to the coming generations. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives dominion to whom He wants, to whom He desires. This is the decision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's decision. We don't have any control over it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give dominion to Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give dominion to non-Muslims. We don't have any say in that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that is saying that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who grants people dominion. And it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who elevates people. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who disgraces people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give the world to whomever He wants, to whomever He wills. Whatever the destiny is. This is how it works. But as far as we are concerned, our job is to continue to call people towards Islam, to call people towards the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But wherever Muslims happen to find themselves, they have a duty. We find ourselves from our places, from our countries, where the Muslims are the majority. So we find our place, we have come to the shores of the United States. We live in the United States. So we, each and every single one of us, have a duty of conveying what we have inherited from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he doesn't leave behind dinar and dirham. The Anbiya, they don't leave behind dinar and dirham. They don't leave behind currency. What they have left behind is a legacy. That legacy needs to be carried forward. That legacy needs to be passed forward to the coming generation. Because this rahmah that came from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not rahmah lil-Muslimin. Right? It was not rahmah lil-Muslimin. It was not specific to the Muslims. It was not mercy for only the Muslims. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? Rahmah lil-Alameen. That Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's advent, this is rahmah lil-Alameen. It is a mercy for all of the world. Rahmah lil-Alameen. So it was never rahmah lil-Muslimin. That, oh yeah, you know what, we need to keep it in the family. Keep it in the Muslim fraternity. No. It's rahmah lil-Alameen. We have a responsibility to convey this message to each and every single person. How will it be conveyed? How will this message be conveyed? We don't need to be in a position of power to convey this message. We don't need to be in a position of power to convey this message. Even in adverse circumstances, message can be conveyed. This can be achieved. Even in adverse circumstances. In this particular regard, let me call your attention to another hadith, the hadith that I mentioned at the beginning of the khutbah. And this hadith will infuse optimism within us. So the Prophet ﷺ, in a hadith which is recorded in Muslim Ahmad, says, لا يبلغن هذا الأمر ما بلغ الليل والنهار ولا يكثره الله بيت مدد ولا وبر إلا أدخل الله هذا الدين. That this cause of Islam will reach as far as light and day will reach. So this cause of Islam will reach as far as light and day will reach. So light and day reaches everywhere. And this is how Islam is going to reach. Islam will reach the furthest corners of the world. Allah will leave no house. Allah will leave no house made from fur and skins, such as the houses of the Arabs, or clay, such as the houses that we today, except that Allah will bring Islam into their houses. The message of Islam will come into the houses of people. So this is the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that this deen, it will come to each and every single person. So this is an optimistic hadith. This is an optimistic hadith that whether we know it, whether we don't know it, the message of Islam will reach every single person. This is the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah will bring His deen to complete fulfillment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring His deen to complete fulfillment. Whether people like it, whether people don't like it, but the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be brought to complete fulfillment. Even if the kuffar, even if they dislike it. But the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reach the furthest recesses of this entire world. If ever there was a time that people would reject Islam, reject the embrace of Islam, it would be now. That time would be now. Because how many attempts are there? How many attempts do we read about where people are trying to disfigure Islam, to turn this religion of Islam repugnant, that this is not something good, this is not something that should be followed. When has there been more of it than today? But yet, people are still coming into the embrace of Islam. People are still accepting Islam. We simply need to keep, as Muslims, we need to simply keep moving forward with this deen. This is our job. This is our job. That we hold fast to our deen, we hold fast to our Islam, and we pass it on to the coming generations. Again, I just wanted to mention ICCD's COVID policy. Brothers and sisters are requested to wear masks at all times. The mask should cover the mouth and nose, observe social distancing, bring your own prayer rug if you don't have one, and then use a paper towel. If you're sick, or you have a cough, sore throat, or muscle aches, do not visit the masjid. It's going to be difficult, but no gathering or socializing in the lobby before and after the prayers. Same thing with hugging and shaking hands. And ICCD also recommends that you avoid bringing young and school-going children to the masjid, and older members of the community, especially with significant medical conditions. They should avoid public gatherings such as the Jumah prayer and endeavor to stay at home. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونشكره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وصحبه وعلى أما بعد. عباد الله، فإني أوصيكم ونفسي بالتقوى والعلي العظيم القائل في محكم كتابه: يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون واعلموا أن الله أمركم بأمر عظيم أمركم بالصلاة والسلام على النبي الكريم فقال: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. يقول الله تعالى: يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم إن زلزلة الساعة شيء عظيم يوم ترونها تذهل كل مرضعة عما أرضعت وترى كل ذات حمل حملها وترى الناس سكارى وما هم بسكارى ولكن عذاب الله شديد. اللهم إنا دعوناك فاستجب لنا دعانا فاغفر اللهم لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والأحياء منهم والأموات ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اجعلنا هداة المهتدين غير ضالين ولا مضلين. اللهم استر عوراتنا وآمن روعاتنا واغفر لنا همنا وقنا شر ما نتخوف. اللهم اجعل اجتماعنا هذا اجتماعا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعد تفرقا معصوما ولا تجعل فينا ولا معنا شقيا ولا محروما. اللهم تقبل منا صلاتنا وقيامنا وركوعنا وسجودنا وتقبل منا صالح اعمالنا وجعلنا من المقبولين في الدنيا والاخره. ربنا هب لنا من ازواجنا وذرياتنا قرة اعين وجعلنا للمتقين اماما. اللهم اجعل اولادنا ابرارا احياء وأمرهم في الإسلام من نبات الحسنة. اللهم اصلح ديننا كله اللهم اصلح شأننا كله. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله الذين يذكركم واشكروا يزدكم واستغفروا يغفر لكم واتقوا يجعل لكم من أمركم مخرجا. Just few dua requests. Everyone is requested to make dua for Sister Jumah. She passed away in Pakistan. She was the sister-in-law of Brother Muhammad Khan. Also, Brother Shafiq Khan's mother passed away in Bangladesh. Her name is Hasina Begum. Everyone is requested to make dua. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevate their ranks. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them to their wills with Allah. Grant them proximity in the neighborhood of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also make dua for Brother Abdullah who is going to undergo hip surgery this Monday. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him shifa kamila ajal. أعطني الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum, just a few announcements. Number one, as a reminder, there is food downstairs for sale, and the proceeds will go to the children in Yemen, so please try to donate by buying some food. They're also selling their discount card where you can receive discounts for halal restaurants in Albany, so it's a good way to support both the local community and a North school. Just as a reminder, please be respectful of people that are praying in here. If you'd like to talk, please go outside and talk after people are praying. We get numerous complaints every week about that. Prayer times are as follow: Fajr 6:30, Dhuhr 1 o'clock, Asr 3 o'clock, Maghrib on time, Isha at 7:30. As you see, we have adopted a new regimen that the Imams will be going over the policies for COVID. So please continue to keep your mask up above your mouth and your nose. We have many complaints every week. We will start talking to people and not letting them inside if they can't abide by the rules. So please continue to do this. This goes for Jumah prayer and the 5 daily prayers as well. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.